Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I want to thank you so much for stopping here and giving me this your time, and I hope it is not a waste. Today, I want to focus on something that I was awakened, somebody talking on the news this morning, and they were talking about the far left. The far left. Now, you got the far left, and you got the middle, and you got the far right. Now, both of, all three of these refer basically to politics. They're talking about conditions of life, uh, what what they mean, and which one is best for different groups of people. Now, I am a social scientist, and I've spent many years, many years, contemplating the ins and outs of these concepts. And I'm fortunate enough to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the hair on my head indicates that I've been here quite some time. And while there are many of you that are much smarter than I am, at least I got some wisdom perhaps that you do not have, not to brag or to boast, just facts. And it is that wisdom that I have that I'd like to share with you in spite of all the smartness and education that the people have. And I do this because I feel that all of the smartness and all the education is not really that good. I live in a country where you think the smartest people live. And look at us. They also say in Asia, smartest people live. And look at them. And so, it doesn't mean that much when we can't talk about all people. And so I figured that today I should perhaps talk about all people, considering that I've been doing this for at least about 40 years. I've stood up for basic principles and advocated for the peace and prosperity of all people. Now, this is a concept that as I said, spent over 40 years about, and I only heard every now and then somebody say something in reference to that, but I haven't heard too much of people trying to actually do something to cause that to come about. And in truth, ladies and gentlemen, I basically am tired. Because to speak of truth, you have to walk somewhat according to it, and the kind of truth that I speak about is about all people. And I have to honor that by carrying myself in a position that I won't usurp or try to take away from others just to maintain myself. And as such, I've just been barely floating. Not with the concept or idea that I'd be floating the rest of my life. I always had an ambition. I always know and had and still do that the answer to all of our problems lie in the imagination. Cut your imagination off, you're in prison. Keep that imagination open. Strive for, look for, cry out for. You'd be surprised what that door will open. It will even give you some answers to the problems of today. And that is one of the reasons why I am here. And I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that over these periods of time, I've talked to you as just individual citizens. I've talked to you as people who believe in God or who go to church. And I've talked to you liberally. I've talked to you with compassion. And I also have basically used the most foulest language I could ever come up with to try to see if that would work. And everything I've tried has failed to work. Because not only have we not progressed, we've regressed to things that one while ago we were glad to get rid of. And when I say we, I'm talking about we as a people, not just necessarily black people. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that I heard someone talking about the far left. And you can bet whoever was talking about the far left was not on the far left, and they didn't have anything decent to say about the far left because they were far right. And to them, far right is far right. But now, the message that I have to you today, ladies and gentlemen, is for you, the average, ordinary citizen. I'm not talking to you very smart people. I'm not talking to you intellectuals. There's a place for you, but this conversation here is not for you. I'm not talking to you, you smart people and who got your DNA from God. I'm talking about the average people have to live with the decision that you have made all their lives, whether it worked for them or didn't. I come to put my little bit onto it, and hopefully, maybe just let this be my little last statement. I've even asked most recently that if you wake up one day and find out that you want the kinds of things in life that will give you peace and prosperity, you might even consider me at this late date. Now, I'm not like Donald Trump. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I got some good sense. And that sense is predicated on the fact that I know that you, many of you in certain areas, are as smart as it can be. You can't lead the country. You can't change the country. You can't do anything to make it beautiful except play a role in it. And that is essential because it cannot be done without you. And that's why you're so important. But you also need the kind of leadership that will allow you to express yourselves in the kind of way that that would be the outcome. That has not happened. I got a sneeze coming on, so if I had to step away, just excuse me. Now let me get back to the issue at hand. Let's talk about the far left. You know what people say about the far left. They talk about socialism and all of these kinds of things. But here's what I see on the far left based upon the interpretation of the people who talk about the far left. It appears to me that if you decided and chose the far left form of government or a system that express what the ideas of the far left are, it basically means that stop. I'm speaking to the American people, but what I say to the American people will work for the world. So I'm bringing it back to America, but I'm speaking to the world. Listen to me. According to the interpretation, if you go far left, I mean far left, not just left or center, if you go far left, you know what that means to me that I'm going to share with you, average Joe Blow citizens? That means that everyone will have a job. That's far left. Everybody got a job. That's far left. Also far left, everybody got health care. That's far left. Everybody got health care. Far left says that everybody has access to education. Everybody has access to education, unlimited and unrestricted. Far left means that everybody got housing. There are no homeless people. There's no suffering out there without shelter. It also means that everybody got food. Far left, this is what it's all about. Nobody is left out. Excuse me. Wow. Excuse me. That's far left. That means, everybody is closed. With the far left, that means that the infrastructure is as beautiful as it can be. Far left means that everything that you do, you're doing it to the best of your ability, for the best that you can come up for, and that includes everybody. To me, this is what far left means. But that just, except, now, you're probably asking, okay, if this is far left, then where does a dissatisfaction fall in? Because everybody can't be satisfied. And you're right. Under this far left, those who are considered the one percenters, those who consider themselves directed from God to lead you and guide your lives, and that you are too stupid to do it yourselves, we call them the one percenters. They will be as mad as they could possibly be. And if you give them the chance, they'll start a war to tear you down, because they cannot stand you having that satisfaction. They cannot stand you being able to come up with a system that would work for you, and they didn't do it, because now they are left out. They're just like you. Now, this is the result of the far left. Now, let me take you to the far right. If you were far right, you are a certain group of people. You might call yourselves one percenters. And you are special. You are designed from heaven to rule and conduct life, social societies in life on this planet. That's if you're far right. And by being far right, you have to amass all of the resources under your guidance. You determine who gets a job and how many get a job. You determine where you put them at and where not to be put. You guarantee to yourself that you will have all of the ability, all of the power. No one can do anything unless they get off their knees. They got to come to you, brother. That is far right. Far right means that some of you will be considered honorable and can have the resources that everybody wants. You're limited. You can't be like them, but you got good access. Then under that, there are those who support that far right. And you always need that support to legitimize you. That's your base. You always got to keep them satisfied. Now, under that, you, the common people, some of you will have a job and you can maybe pay your bills. Some of you will have to live from paycheck to paycheck. And some of you, my friends, will be absolute slaves. You will be absolute slaves. Those of you who are not in America, your life standards will be threatened because the far right is not satisfied unless they got it all. That means they got to come and start some stuff between you, divide you, conquer you, and use and abuse you for the benefit of what the far right is all about. And then when you have done all of this, I don't know of a time presently, but you would have to go through the worst hell that you've ever gone through under the far right. Now that's the interpretation of the expressions of those who have walked in the footsteps of the far right. Consider far right, which means only a few got life, and everybody is just a tool to provide that life, and the rest of you are just slaves. Far left, everybody got life, except those that will rob you, steal from you, take from you. You ask them what they're doing, they say we're going back and forth throughout the earth trying to see who we can rob, steal, kill, and destroy. That's what happens when you're far left and the far right comes at you. But now, what about the middle? Well, now, people say, let's get in the middle. In the middle, they say, well, we're going to have the 1%ers in the middle. And you're going to have those at the bottom who are sleeping in the streets and in the cold and need shelter and without food. And they're looking for a handout. They're going to be standing on the corners with street signs saying, help us. You're going to find that the system is going to be so distorted that you're going to have public servants who were hired to protect you, at least that's what you're thinking, are going to be used to abuse you. All of these things are going to happen. In the middle, there are going to be people who making some money, can live a little happily and comfortable. And there are going to be those of you who are living from paycheck to paycheck. And there are going to be those of you who are going to be finding every kind of vice you possibly can to keep from being a slave to the bottom in poverty. You're going to be dealing in drugs. You're going to be, well, I won't just say drugs. You're going to be dealing in the black markets, trying to do whatever you can to make it. Yes, you will, my friends, create nicotine and cigarettes to get you addicted so people can make money off you. Yes, you will do certain things that would put people in traps so that you can abuse them, just so you can survive. Now, what I'm speaking about when I say the middle is the kind of system that we are living in today. Find very few people that are satisfied except the far right. They are satisfied because they're getting exactly out of it what they want. So you put this before you, ladies and gentlemen, just to see, what do you think? Now, when it comes down to me, this is what I think. I love the far left. I don't care what the far right says. I don't care what the middle says. In the end of the day, beginning in the morning, when everybody has a career, a purpose in life, and they know what it is, and they are exercising. And in that exercising, it is the process of creating all of those essentials that human beings need to have their desires met and their wants met and their needs, to have this education, to have this health care, to have the infrastructure, to have a beautiful, beautiful society and a wonderful purpose for waking up every morning. To stand up and glorify the power that you can't see, can't touch, can't feel, but it is evidence that it's in you because of what you have done to change the society in which you lived in, to change the world in which you've lived in all this time. That's coming from the far left. So I advocate for the far left. And if I were president of the United States, you would know that I'm coming from the perspective of the far left, telling you that I have seen, my friends, in my own imagination. I used to tell you God showed me, but I realize now that nobody believes in God. So I used to tell you that love is the answer, but people don't even know what love is. So I'll just tell you, this is what my imagination shows me. And when I see in my imagination that people aren't suffering, that makes me want to jump and shout. When I see in my imagination that people are smiling and they are happy, that makes me want to jump and shout. And if anybody is crying from pain and suffering, it makes me want to go and say, what can we do? We got to get rid of this problem right away. That sounds real good to me. And I'm willing to stand up, and I've been standing up for it for at least 40 years. The other 40, well, that's a little bit too many. Let's back it down those other years, it's just go for it. Just like everybody else, go for it. We are so far off it. I was thinking about it this morning. There's a time and place for everything, especially growing up. I've seen so many crazy things going in my life, but let me tell you, one of the most craziest things I've ever seen is to see a society that have reduced women's thought process, the respect for themselves, to the level that they can go somewhere, put on some panties or take their panties off, bend over on their knees and shaking their butts in front of cameras, in front of people, calling it twerking. Looking like, and I'm telling you, men like it. They turn their juices flowing, and they can think about some things that they could do, but it looks like it's the foolish thing, the most foolish thing that you could ever see. If you saw a dog out there doing that, if you saw a cat out there doing that, you would turn up your nose at that, but it would kind of amaze you. But when you see human beings who call themselves creatures of God, who can sit up and just turn their butts up and shake it at your, that means you not only have a lack of respect for yourselves, you have a level of respect for the people who are looking at you. You know all they want. And the way you twerk your butt is to indicate to them what you want them to think about you. What kind of imagination is there? Especially when you're doing it in a lot of instances to trick somebody to think that you can survive because they might want to give you some money for doing it. Might buy you an outfit because you look good in it. Well, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you are off the path of the far left. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've given you my concept of what the far left is about, what the far right is about. We do not have the far right here today. I think if I'm proper in America, the American experience, the far right was basically when we had slavery, when people did anything they want to other people, sell them, take the land. I mean, that's far right. That's real far right. That is what I think maybe the president today is talking about, far right, where they are the special one. No, and I'm glad I said that, because now you can have some idea of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about. Now, in the middle, let me just say something positive about the middle as well. In the middle, there will be people. Some of you have heard about a young lady by the name of Sister Teresa. I'm just using her for an example. There were many of them who weren't trying to amass all the stuff so they could figure they were so important, so they could dress up and think they were so pretty, so they could dress up and think that they were God's gift to men, or men doing it thinking that they were God's gift to women. They were concerned about those that suffered, and they spent their entire life trying to help people who were caught into a quagmire and didn't know how to get out. They couldn't help them to get out of that situation, but they helped them to not die in that situation. Those were people like Sister Teresa. Now, on the far left, you don't have to worry about that. That's not happening. So I'm going to tell you, your biggest struggle in life today is to get to the far left, because you are the only one that wants it. You are the only one. The middle does not want it, and the right does not want it. You are the only one. And this is why I try to tell people today, when you start talking about politics and getting into the political arena, running for public office, the way that they keep the situations the way they are is that the people really have been trained and indoctrinated to the concept that they really don't want solutions to these problems. Let me say that again. They don't want solutions to these problems. Now, really, those who are looking for support and hope, they really do. But they have been taught to believe that no one can bring it to them except the ones who can amass the money. You see, money speaks. Money says you got something going. Money says everybody's for you, so let's go for them because they got the money. And truthfully, those who got the solutions to the problems have no money. And they can't run for office. Why? Because they put up an obstacle saying that you got to have money in order to get your word out. So take out, you got no money, don't care how much far left you got. I don't care how much righteousness you got. It's you and it's you alone. And so the objective there is to convert you from being the kind of person that's free to become a person that's pissed off and mad and jump over there and join the other gang. Become a middle classer. Become a right winger. Giving up love, which you didn't understand. Giving up the life that you never had. Hoped for, but it never came because you were walking in the wrong footsteps. These are the consequences that we have to live with. I know this because what I just told you about the far left, every individual except those who wants to be God would want what the far left offers. There was a cartoon once, like a movie. Oh man, I can't think of the name of the movie, but many of you might know it. It was a cartoon type movie where they had this lady who could stretch so far, like the Magnificent Four or something like that. And they had this dad that would run and so powerful. They had a girl who was able to throw a shield around and protect themselves. They had a little boy that could run so fast, and then they end up having a baby that could turn himself into a ball of fire. You know what I'm talking about. The Incredibles. And there was another guy sitting on the side. He represents the far right. He wanted that power. He wanted to do everything. He didn't have that power. So he decided to improvise and give him certain attributes used that would allow him to act as if he had this power. And in the end, when he found out that if the world was switching, and I'm just kind of doing my own thing right here, then he found out that, well, if everybody's going to can do what they want to do, if everybody can do this and do that, then what is the purpose of having all the special power? To heck with that. He decided he didn't want to destroy things and change it, but he didn't want to have the power. See, so that's what we have learned in our living. You're not satisfied with everybody being satisfied. You want to be the power. You're the one who have the smartest minds. You're the one who can think. You know all kinds of words. You're the one who can tell you more about the villains than the generals. You're the one who's never gone into battle, but you know more about battles than those who fight the battles or engaged in the battles. You're the one who is the most important, magnificent individual on the face of the earth. That's not me, and that's not any of us. The only way we can claim that title is when we all come together as one. Then we have that title. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude with this. Yes, I have mentioned that if you decided that you wanted some peace and some prosperity in your life, I'm the man. One of the evidences that I'm the man is that I don't have any money to engage in the process, and nobody's going to give me any money to engage in the process. Not only are they not going to give me any money to engage in the process, they'd rather laugh at me and call me foolish and stupid. And that's fine with me. Been there. Because see, I know what a fool really is. But if someone say, well, what are we going to do? What can we do? Then I would say, well, war won't offer a solution. We've seen war ever since life has been here. And war doesn't do anything but beget war. Lying beget more lies. So I just think it's an individual thing, ladies and gentlemen. For me, I have found some peace. And that's a hard statement to make. Because when I look around and see people hurting, I hurt. I cry. There's no peace in that. The suffering that I have to go through, there's no peace in that. But one thing I have come to grips with is that this is not my world. I'm just a figure in it. I have spent time trying to speak the truth as I have recognized it, hoping that it would do something for somebody else. And whether it has or hasn't, I really don't know. But I do know that I have spent time in jails, I've spent times in prisons, and some of those were the best times of my life. Not that I was just locked up. I couldn't go to get a hamburger, or I couldn't go to the movies, or I couldn't make love to somebody at this time. I was locked up in jails, held a prisoner by a power that was rejecting the truth that I brought. And there was something else that was happening inside of me that they could not affect. And I call it says, The world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it away. It was wonderful to be able to walk around in prison, knowing that you're one of the people on this earth who cared about everybody on the face of the earth to the degree that you committed this, an acceptable gift. First off, I started in the military by disobeying Ronald Reagan and following rules. So that was the greatest thing. The next thing I had to do, I tried, because that didn't work. I even committed a crime against you, the people. I ended up going to jail. But that was not my purpose. My purpose was to use that as a stepping stone or something to a soapbox to reach out to you. That didn't work. So I know now that that really wasn't for you. I thought that was for you, but it was for me. I was growing up. I was making changes in my life, and the things that I did expressed where I was going. And by doing that, I learned the outcome, the effects of it. And I learned that it had nothing to do with you. It was all about me. And what I truly learned is that there is a God that I need in order to live on this earth. There's a God that I need to be able to face this life, and I accept that. It might be in my imagination, but it's a God. I accept it. And every time that I tried to step outside of that by doing something for somebody else, I blew it. I blew it because it doesn't work. People got to learn for themselves. Everyone got to learn for themselves. So, it is not that I'm giving up. I just know that you are not ready. You are not ready for life. You are really prisoners. You are really slaves. And the message that I bring to you is so far away from you till it might take another 100 years before you can even come close to that. So I just wanted to give you that report, ladies and gentlemen. This is my report to you. You don't have to accept it. You know, it's like the report that Mullen here in the United States is getting together about some things that took place in the last presidential election. And you got half of the world, half of the nation just ready to bring it out so we can show the rest of the nation that they were wrong. And the other half is trying to do the same thing. It's just a war. And it's changing nobody's mind. It's a waste of time. And so for me, I'm ready to go. If God has no other purpose for me, if there, in His wisdom, nothing else that I can do for God that will benefit you, the human people, then my hair is gray enough. I don't need it to get grayer. I'm aged enough. I don't need to get it any more aging. I have experienced life as best I could at this point. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied because I know I love you, because God loves you. I'm satisfied because I know I want to be an instrument whereby together we can be able to accomplish those things that we wish for, dream for, and even imagine. I'm satisfied with that. I've done my part. You haven't done yours. And so I'm not waiting on you any longer. God, if you want me to fall dead right now, just make sure, if you will, that I make a noise so the people in the other room can hear me and come and get me out of here before I start smelling. To this, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you, and I give it to you on this Sunday, maybe the last Sunday that I will speak to you, because I'm tired. I have learned my lesson, and I can't learn it for you. Bye-bye.